the Agile brand.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Agile brand, where we discuss marketing technology and customer experience trends, insights, and ideas with enterprise and technology platform leaders. We focus on the people, processes, data, and platforms that make brands successful, scalable, customer-focused, and sustainable. This is what makes an Agile brand. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom, advising Fortune 1000 brands on MarTech, marketing operations, and CX, best-selling author and speaker. The Agile Brand Podcast is brought to you by TechSystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that my latest book, Priority is Action: 7 Principles for Better Strategies, Decisions, and Outcomes, is now available. In it, I give ideas and insights for leaders and teams that need to make meaningful progress on their priorities. After all, our priorities are what we do, not what we say we'd like to do. You can find Priority is Action on Amazon or learn more on my website, gregkihlstrom.com. Now let's get on to the show. When consumers can get what they want, whenever, however, and wherever they want, simplifying and optimizing e-commerce operations is key to success. Joining us today is Jorrit Steinz, founder and CEO of ChannelEngine, who has built a platform that helps retailers and brands manage their online sales channels more effectively. Jorrit, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Greg.
Yeah, looking forward to talking with you here. So why don't you start by sharing a little bit of the story behind founding ChannelEngine and what inspired you to focus on simplifying global e-commerce for retailers, brands, and customers alike?
Yeah, sure. It's not a very obvious choice to do because everybody that is in e-commerce knows it can be a challenging task. So I have been in e-commerce as an entrepreneur for more than 21 years now. So I set up several companies many years ago with a concept called website lease, building e-commerce sites for a fixed monthly fee. Now we all call it SaaS. Back then there was no SaaS. And that started growing for retailers, for publishers that wanted to start selling stuff. And then one of my customers had his own e-commerce operations, super small. And just for fun, we decided to launch a few e-commerce stores together. It was supposed to be a side business, became a main business. So where we started with one e-commerce store, we launched a second e-commerce store, all search engine optimized, ran a bit out of hand. In the end, we had 75 e-commerce stores running. And that was in a period back in 2003 where there was no good e-commerce solution available for our scale. So we built everything ourselves, from e-commerce platform, backend systems, warehouse management systems, data feeds to comparison sites, and all the stuff you can now buy in SaaS tools. And then over the years, we launched our own marketplace and started selling on Amazon and eBay, on all kinds of local marketplaces. And it didn't make sense to me that we had to build all these integrations to these marketplaces custom made. And I needed our commercial team to be able to control what we were selling on which marketplace in which country. Back then we had 30,000 different SKUs and you don't want to sell everything everywhere. So I thought, well, let's look for a solution. There was no good solution back then. So I decided to sell the previous company and then put in a lot of resources to build a new platform, which is now called ChannelEngine. Idea was super simple, just build a connector and a management platform. But of course, building a robust solution always takes time. So we've been building this out over the last 10 years and really started scaling from Europe to the US. And now we're active globally with customers selling in Southeast Asia, Middle East, Europe, Australia, as well as North and South America. So lots of things have changed. It's still exciting, still plenty of challenges, but we're now powering 950 marketplaces worldwide. So plenty of things to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah. So let's dive in here. And, it seems pretty straightforward that simplifying global e-commerce is what retailers, brands, and even customers want. But, let's talk about two specific aspects, and that's flexibility and findability. And could you explain the importance of both of these in this context?
Yes. So if you look at marketplaces and e-commerce in general, so the e-commerce journey started when people started selling on their own e-commerce site. They had to be found through Google or a comparison site, and it shifted slowly to Amazon, Then Amazon opened up as a marketplace as well. Then eBay opened their marketplace, and then over the years, many more marketplaces popped up. A lot of retailers became a marketplace, so the market with number of channels started being fragmented. And over the last few years, that more retailers became marketplace, but also social media became marketplace as well, became transactional. So it's getting harder for retailers and brands to manage all these different channels. You have to go in and log in and optimize. And the most important thing is, if somebody is searching on a marketplace or on a retailer site and your brand is not there at the right keywords, then you're missing out on that specific target audience. So being findable on these marketplaces is extremely important, because the majority of the product searches nowadays starts on marketplaces or starts on social media. So you need to be present there. And if you just rely on your own e-commerce site, then you need to do a lot of above the line marketing, getting customers in, or just rely on search engine optimization and SEA. And that's not going to cut it to truly become scalable.
Yeah. And so how has ChannelEngine helped your customers achieve some of these benefits?
Yeah, so ChannelEngine is focused on connecting multiple channels. So many years ago, if you just sold on Amazon, you could just log into the seller control panel, list your products, ship your products to fulfillment by Amazon, and you're done. But as soon as you want to make the most out of your inventory, both for your direct-to-consumer shop as well as Amazon, as well as other marketplaces, then you need to optimize product information. So you want to have it in a single location and then automatically syndicate it to not one marketplace or two, but some of our customers have over 60 marketplaces that they run with a small team. And then the journey starts, because the marketplace needs to know how much inventory do you have in stock, in which warehouse, what is the pricing, make sure you are competitive on these different platforms. And then once an order takes place, it needs to flow into your backend system, into your warehouse. Your warehouse ships it, track trace information needs to flow back. So there's a lot of processes that need to be automated to do it at scale, because otherwise customers don't receive their package in time, or you sell something that's not in stock. And those are the things that ChannelEngine fully automates.
Got it. So let's talk a little bit more about. You certainly talked about ease of managing things, but let's talk a little bit more about this. Managing product information, inventory, orders, pricing from that single location, because I would imagine, as you mentioned, some of these some of the customers that you're working with have, you mentioned 50 or more marketplaces, so it can be a challenge. So can you talk about the advantage to syndicate product information and all this stuff from a central point?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, it's super important to get the right product information on each and every marketplace in the format that they want it to do. Every marketplace has a different interface and different requirements in terms of titles and descriptions and attributes, image sizes, etc. So in the ideal situation, you don't want to log into all these different environments and do it manually, especially if you have a couple of thousands of SKUs or hundreds of thousands of SKUs. But it's already a lot of work if you have 50 different products. So what ChannelEngine does is connecting to your backend system, can be a product information management system or your ERP or a combination. And then from there, we syndicate the product information, translate it into the format that the marketplaces need, and then upload it to the marketplaces automatically. But also, if there's a change in your central system, we syndicate that change to all the different channels you are using. We even provide automated translations if that's needed to sell in a different country and stuff like that. So an essential thing to do. And also our system knows exactly what the marketplaces require in terms of attributes. And attributes, think of sizes, colors, materials, and stuff like that, are essential to be findable on a marketplace as well. So if somebody goes into certain category, searches for a product, then there are these amazing filters on the left. And if you click on the filter and you don't have that attribute filled out, your product will not appear. So those kind of items are essential just to get started, to get your product information there where the consumer is searching. And that's where it starts before you start syndicating and synchronizing all the other information from inventory, orders, optimizing pricing, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, there's a lot to manage on a single marketplace. So,
True.
imagining doing this across multiple. I mean, can you maybe give an example? How what does this enable a brand or a retailer to do when before they were managing one, two, three, four, however many marketplaces? What is this? How does this benefit them directly, and maybe share an example of how this looks different.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you two examples. So years ago, selling on a marketplace, you needed to upload an Excel sheet. When an order comes in, you download it, update your own inventory management system and stuff like that. But as soon as you have two channels or more, you need to make sure if you sell something on one channel, you need to take it off the other channel immediately. Otherwise, you oversell. So some of our customers, I'll give you an example. There's a large retailer in Germany. They were already selling on 10 different marketplaces, but they wanted to expand, and they were running into capacity challenges because there was so much manual updating. So they started using ChannelEngine, and at the moment there's a team of 2 people managing over 60 marketplaces
Wow.
across all of Europe. And that's a European play, and that's across different languages and tax regions and logistical regions, etc., with a very small team, and they're super successful. And the other one is always a nice example. Is one of our customers, Philips Domestic Appliances. They started selling in Southeast Asia on Shopee and Lazada and Zalora on the 3P marketplace. They ramped up in Europe, in France, and the UK, and launched in North America as well, both with their marketplace as well as with their direct-to-consumer shops, all running through one centralized platform. And they've been extremely successful so far. We see that replicated by companies like Electrolux and even different fashion brands and retailers as well. So makes it much easier to have full control, full visibility, but also making sure you can do it profitably as well.
Digital marketers, this one's for you. I've got 30 seconds to tell you about Wix Studio, the web platform for agencies and enterprises. So here are a few things you can do in 30 seconds or less when you manage projects on Wix Studio. Work in sync with your team on one canvas, reuse templates, widgets, and sections across sites, create a client kit for seamless handovers, and leverage best-in-class SEO defaults across all your Wix sites. Time's up, but the list keeps going. Step into Wix Studio to see more. And so maybe taking a step back now, let's talk about marketplace strategy, and as well as how choosing the right marketplaces fit into that. So what should brands and retailers consider when they're developing their marketplace strategy, and how does determining the right marketplaces to sell on fit into that?
Sure, yeah. So the fun thing is nowadays retailers are also becoming brands. So many retailers have their own private label brands, as well as brands that start retailing. So if you look in the physical stores, you see a lot of brands, flagship stores, selling their branded products. So all of them are now selling on marketplaces as well. For brand, there's a different strategy. So if you are a brand, first of all, you want to be in control. Is your product found on a marketplace when a person is looking for your specific product? So it can be, I don't know, running shoes, and your brand needs to be there. Otherwise, the consumer goes to your competitor, and you need to be in control. What does your product look like? Is all the product information there? Is it representing your brand story? And that's the first part. Second part is you need to make sure your products are available, whether it is bought by Amazon or bought by Walmart, but it needs to be available throughout the whole product range, especially when you do a promotion. If you look at retailers can really benefit from selling on marketplaces, sometimes purely to get rid of overstock. Sometimes it's a very strategic choice to sell their private label brands on a marketplace. But many retailers are becoming a marketplace as well. And it can be very simple by just opening it up to their brands to do backfilling. So if they run out of stock, they can still keep on selling while the brand drop ships it to the end consumer, or for shoe retailers, for instance, size filling for the weird sizes that they don't want to have on the balance sheet. The brand can sell them as well. If you look at the choices, what marketplace to sell on is really focused on which country are you selling in, but also which vertical. So every region has its own local hero. So for the US audience, of course, it starts with Amazon, but also Walmart and Macy's and Sears, etc., all became marketplace as well as TikTok is becoming super successful for some brands.
Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about, once the sale is made, the role of customer service. And we probably everyone listening here probably knows and understands that it is important to have great customer service, but successful e-commerce customer service, has some specific requirements. And what strategies do you recommend for these brands that are, they're operating across multiple marketplaces, they're managing all of these things? How do they also maintain high standards of customer service?
Yeah, I think if you look at the e-commerce, the majority of the questions coming in for customer services: where's my package? Did it arrive in time? Can we do the return? So it's crucial to have your delivery on point, well automated, so you don't sell something on one marketplace and the other marketplace at the same time, which means you would have to cancel one of the orders. So make sure that's all automated at a very high frequency. Make sure you ship in time. Track trace information is automatically going to that consumer. That avoids a lot of questions. And as soon as you have less questions to your customer service, your customer service reps have more time to truly spend time on answering the other questions about the products.
Yeah.
So the reason why it's so essential to do that, not only to have a good end customer experience, but also you get measured on the marketplaces, and being findable and having a high ranking on a marketplace is connected to your seller performance. So how fast do you ship? How many cancellations do you have? But also, what are your review ratings? How fast do you respond to customer queries? And that all ties into your overall success on the marketplace. And actually, if you don't do it well, you can get penalized or even kicked off the marketplace. So it's a crucial part.
Yeah. And so, a lot of brands might spend a lot of time on keyword research and product descriptions and photos and all that kind of stuff, and yet kind of fail on the customer service part, or even lag behind. So, what strategies do you recommend for brands that are wanting to maintain these high standards of customer service?
I think high standards of customer service is making sure the insights are there. So the customer gets track trace information in time. There's a visibility for the customer service rep as well across all these different channels. So if somebody calls, they can just log into one system and immediately see what's happening with their order, instead of logging into 60 different control panels and trying to find it out, which would take a lot of time. One of the strategies we see a lot as well is using AI to answer questions fast, have very polite but very informative answers, super quick.
Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit more about AI and automation in general, and just how brands can leverage automation for greater efficiency here. So, how do you look at automation as far as enhancing the e-commerce operations, and what types of tasks are most effectively automated?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in automating all the stuff that's repetitive, meaning updates of stock, but also with content, for instance, we can leverage a lot of AI functionalities. So naturally, like many companies, we built in a lot of AI functionalities to help our sellers, the brands and retailers using our platform, to create new virtual bundles, to create new images, to generate product descriptions, to translate text, to connect attributes from their own system to the attributes that are needed on the marketplace. So all the stuff that typically took a long time to do manual, we automated that with AI. And naturally, We show the recommendations and somebody needs to click on OK before it gets published on the different marketplaces. But it saves a ton of time, and saving a ton of time means you have more time to look at which channels are successful for you, which channels can we optimize and leverage and make it even more profitable. So they keep more time to do the smart stuff.
Yeah. And can you maybe just give an example? I know you've touched on a few already, but give an example of how ChannelEngine facilitates this automation for its customers.
Yeah, so ChannelEngine is, you can see it as an operating system as well as a network. So once you connect the backend systems, can be your web shop, your ERP system, warehouse management system, multiple warehouses, to ChannelEngine, you instantly have access to a network of 950 marketplaces. And as soon as you select one of the marketplaces, we start synchronizing all this information. So you make the selection. What are you going to sell in this region on that marketplace for what pricing? And the rest is fully automated by our solution, leaving you more time to strategize, create great products, and then adding more regions as well. Think of product information syndication, stock level syndication, price optimization. So if you're selling a product that others sell as well, we know exactly who's selling it, how fast they can ship, whether they have availability or not. And we can reprice millions of times a day to make sure you have the right price. So not always the cheapest price, but the right price to sell at a high margin, winning the buy box, and have the highest volume. We automate insights, profitability, order management, cancellation, shipments, returns. So the full e-commerce flow is automated through ChannelEngine.
Great. Well, Jorrit, thanks so much for joining today. As we look ahead, what trends are you seeing? I mean, certainly you've been in the e-commerce space and seen a lot of trends so far, but what are you seeing shaping the future of e-commerce and marketplace selling? How should companies be preparing to adapt to these trends?
I think it's super important for brands and retailers to be in control and be agile. So it's great to have the name of your podcast, the Agile Brand.
Yeah.
But it's truly the case. We don't know which platform is going to win, and it doesn't really matter. So if you have the solution to connect any channel, optimize what products you're selling or not, and you can just click it on, start experimenting. It doesn't cost much, and then expand from there. I do see a lot of acceleration with new channels across the globe popping up, from Chinese marketplaces to retailers that are becoming marketplace, to social commerce. I think social commerce is going to be way bigger than a lot of people think. We see many successes already, which means it's not just a click from TikTok or Instagram to your e-commerce site, but you can actually purchase it on these platforms. So that's going to accelerate live shopping. You will see more live shopping on the e-commerce sites as well as in social media. We see that picking up pretty quickly. And the other thing I see is that brands are taking more control over the whole retail funnel, selling directly on the different marketplaces. I see it more centralized. So the teams that typically did B2B and direct to consumer, as well as their marketing teams, are working more together, the ones that are truly accelerating at the moment, in global teams. So they have one unified solution instead of having all these different departments across the globe figuring it out for themselves. And naturally, things are going to go quicker with AI, machine learning forecasting, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Love it. Love to hear that. Well, again, I'd like to thank Jorrit Steinz, founder and CEO of ChannelEngine, for joining us today. You can learn more about Jorrit and how ChannelEngine is transforming global e-commerce by following the links in the show notes. Thanks again for listening to The Agile Brand, brought to you by Tech Systems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.gregkihlstrom.com. That's GregKihlstrom.com. While you're there, check out my series of best-selling Agile Brand guides covering a wide variety of marketing technology topics, or you can search for Greg Kihlstrom on Amazon. The Agile Brand is produced by Missing Link, a Latina-owned, strategy-driven, creatively fueled production co-op. From ideation to creation, they craft human connections through intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Until next time, stay agile.
The agile brand.